There are friendships in the entertainment industry that exist because two people work together and find it professionally useful to maintain the appearance of mutual affection. And there are friendships that exist because two people recognized something genuine in each other early enough that the recognition became a foundation rather than a performance. The friendship between Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson belongs unmistakably to the second category, and the full documented story of what it has looked like across more than 15 years, through voice rivalries and divorces and departures and reunions and all the personal upheaval that both of them have navigated in between, tells a story about loyalty and mutual recognition that the entertainment industry produces far less often than it claims to. What Blake Shelton finally admitted about Kelly Clarkson, assembled from everything he has actually said about her across a decade and a half of documented public statements, is something considerably more durable than a scandal and considerably more interesting than a secret. He admitted, consistently and repeatedly, and in terms that carry the weight of genuine feeling rather than professional obligation, that she is one of the most important people in his professional and personal life. And the full picture of why that admission matters requires understanding everything that both of them have been through in the years since a chance encounter connected their lives in ways that neither of them anticipated. Blake Tollison Shelton was born on June 18, 1976, in Ada, Oklahoma, according to his documented biography, the son of Richard Shelton, a used car dealer, and Dorothy Shackelford, who would eventually become Ada's mayor. He grew up in a household shaped by country music and by the specific qualities of small-town Oklahoma life, learning guitar as a child and developing the musical identity that would eventually make him one of the most commercially successful country artists of his generation. His path to Nashville was not gradual but immediate, leaving Ada at 17 to pursue music professionally. And his early years in Nashville involved the specific combination of determination and patience that the industry requires of young performers who arrive without connections but with genuine talent. His first #1 single, Austin, came in 2001 according to documented chart records, launching a commercial career that produced multiple chart-topping singles across the following 2 decades. Kelly Brian Clarkson was born on April 24, 1982, in Fort Worth, Texas, according to her documented biography, and grew up in Burleson, Texas, in circumstances that included her parents' divorce when she was 6 years old and a childhood split between households in ways she has spoken about in various documented interview contexts as genuinely difficult. Her entry into the entertainment industry came through American Idol in 2002, when she became the inaugural winner of the competition series that would transform how talent was discovered and launched in the American music industry. Her debut single, A Moment Like This, released immediately following her Idol victory, sold approximately 100,000 copies in 1 week, according to documented industry figures, breaking a record that had stood for 38 years. The career that followed demonstrated both commercial versatility and artistic independence in ways that the Idol format had not made obviously available, producing multiple Grammy Awards and a sustained commercial presence that the industry had not expected from a competition show winner. Their paths crossed well before The Voice brought them into professional proximity on the same set. Kelly has described in documented interview contexts, including her first day as a voice coach in 2018, knowing Blake for approximately a decade at that point, making their friendship's origins traceable to approximately 2008. The connection was facilitated in part by the specific social infrastructure of the country music and broader American popular music worlds, which in the mid-2000s overlapped considerably more than the genre label suggested. Both were Texans by upbringing. Both had entered the entertainment industry through unconventional paths relative to the traditional Nashville or Hollywood pipelines, and both had a quality of directness and humor that made them recognizable to each other as similar kinds of people beneath the very different professional identities they had built. The connection that initially complicated their friendship before it could fully develop was professional rather than personal. Kelly Clarkson married Brandon Blackstock on October 3, 2013, according to documented records of their wedding, and Brandon Blackstock was Blake Shelton's longtime manager, according to documented accounts of that professional relationship. The specific dynamic this created placed Blake in a position of simultaneous personal and professional relationship with two people who were now married to each other, a complexity that most people in his position would have managed with careful neutrality. What the documented record shows is that Blake did not manage it with careful neutrality. He was actively involved in the relationship's progression, having encouraged Brandon to propose to Kelly in December 2012, according to documented accounts of that period, and subsequently serving as a witness and active participant in their relationship rather than a careful professional bystander. When Brandon proposed and Kelly accepted, Blake's response was reportedly enthusiastic support rather than the careful distance that managing the professional implications might have suggested. The Voice brought them into direct professional competition, beginning with season 14 in 2018, when Kelly joined the coaching panel that already included Blake, John Legend, and Alicia Keys, according to documented records of that season's lineup. The dynamic that emerged on screen almost immediately was one of the most consistently entertaining aspects of what had already been one of American television's most successful competition formats. Where the show's earlier seasons had produced the famous bromance between Blake and Adam Levine, the introduction of Kelly created something different, a relationship with the specific energy of a sibling dynamic. The combination of genuine affection and completely uninhibited mutual mockery that only develops between people who are secure enough in their connection to be genuinely unkind to each other on national television without either party taking real offense. Blake told the audience in a 2018 interview that she makes everything fun, describing Kelly's effect on any environment she enters with the appreciation of someone who genuinely values that quality. Kelly told interviewers that he was the sweetest person ever, the nicest human ever, like the greatest big brother, using language that was specific and personal rather than the generic praise that promotional relationships tend to produce. She posted a photograph of them together at a variety event in 2017, thanking him specifically for being there for her that day and acknowledging that he had shown up at an event where he would rather not have been because she needed him there. That kind of specificity, the acknowledgement of a particular instance of loyalty rather than a general endorsement of someone's character, is a language of genuine friendship rather than professional relationship management. The friendship's most significant test arrived in June 2020, when Kelly filed for divorce from Brandon Blackstock after 7 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences according to documented court records of the filing. The specific difficulty this created for Blake was immediate and real. Brandon Blackstock had been his manager for many years and was simultaneously the estranged husband of one of his closest friends. The industry expectation in situations of this kind is usually a careful diplomatic neutrality that preserves the professional relationship at the expense of the personal one. What Blake did was the opposite. He terminated his professional relationship with Brandon Blackstock, according to documented reporting that confirmed an insider statement that Brandon had no involvement with Blake's management, and he was present on the Voice set when Kelly received the ruling that her prenuptial agreement was upheld, a moment that multiple documented sources described as one of considerable relief and emotion for her. He was there celebrating with her, according to documented accounts of that day, rather than managing his position between two people he had professional obligations to. A source quoted in Us Weekly in June 2020, according to documented reporting on that period, described Blake as having been supportive and the friend Kelly needed, always, and said that the two often joke they are siblings. The sibling characterization is the one that has appeared most consistently across different documented accounts of their relationship from different sources across different years, and its consistency across that range of context suggests it is genuinely accurate rather than a managed talking point. Siblings fight without fear of permanent rupture. Siblings take each other's side in ways that occasionally sacrifice neutrality. Siblings are present at the moments when presence matters most rather than the moments when presence is professionally convenient. The divorce proceedings that followed Kelly's filing were protracted and contentious in ways that the documentation of the legal process made visible across multiple years of reporting. Brandon contested the prenuptial agreement, seeking to have their properties and Kelly's substantial income split differently than the agreement specified, according to documented reporting on the legal arguments. The financial stakes involved were significant given Kelly's income from The Voice, The Kelly Clarkson Show, and her recording career. The legal process extended across multiple years, with various rulings on different aspects of the settlement, and the emotional weight of that extended process on Kelly was something Blake was present for across the years it lasted. His departure from The Voice after season 23 in 2023, according to documented records of his exit from the show, removed him from the professional daily proximity that the show had provided, but did not remove him from Kelly's life in the way that his Voice departure might have been expected to. In May 2025, according to documented reporting on the visit, Blake appeared on the Kelly Clarkson show and revealed during his conversation with her what he described as his #1 goal in music at that point in his career. He said he wanted to be featured on a Kelly Clarkson record, which was both a statement of genuine musical respect and the kind of thing that someone says when they are comfortable enough with their own position to be completely sincere about something that might otherwise read as flattery. He had nothing to gain from the statement professionally. He had left The Voice. He had no current album in promotion. He was simply telling his friend on her television show that being on her record was what he wanted to do musically, and framing it as a #1 goal rather than a casual wish. The specificity of the framing, the deliberate elevation of the ambition to the top of his professional priority list, said something about how he actually valued her artistry rather than just her friendship. His appearance on that episode also produced the moment that Hello magazine described as Blake being left unimpressed after a disappointing discovery at the Kelly Clarkson show, which, based on the pattern of their documented relationship, almost certainly involved some form of the mutual mockery that has characterized their public interactions across 15 years. The specific dynamic of their humor has always operated in the space where genuine affection creates enough security for genuinely unkind jokes, and the continuing presence of that dynamic in 2025, 2 years after Blake's departure from The Voice ended their professional daily contact, confirmed that the friendship was sustained by something more substantial than professional proximity. Blake Shelton's own personal life across the years of his friendship with Kelly has involved its own significant transitions. His marriage to Miranda Lambert, the country artist he wedded in May 2011, according to documented records of that marriage, ended in July 2015 in a statement that confirmed the split and said the decision was not one they had made lightly. Their rep stated that it was not the future they had envisioned and that they were moving forward separately with heavy hearts, according to documented reporting on the statement. The divorce generated significant country music industry commentary, given the prominence of both parties and the apparent stability the marriage had projected publicly. Blake subsequently began a relationship with Gwen Stefani, the No Doubt vocalist and fellow voice coach, which Kelly Clarkson was documented as supporting enthusiastically, apparently becoming something of a fan of Gwen Stefani in the way that Kelly has been described across multiple documented accounts, as genuinely excited about Gwen's talent. Blake and Gwen married on July 3, 2021, according to documented records of their wedding, at his Oklahoma ranch in a ceremony attended by a small group of family and close friends. The parallel experience of both Blake and Kelly navigating significant personal transitions, his divorce and subsequent remarriage, her divorce, and the extended legal proceedings that followed, across the same general period while maintaining the friendship that predated all of it, is part of what gives the relationship its specific documented character. They were not simply television colleagues who maintained professional warmth. They were people who showed up for each other at the moments that actually required showing up, who chose each other's interests over professional neutrality when those two things came into conflict, and who sustained the specific quality of humor and directness between them that genuine security in a relationship produces. The Voice Battle of Champions, scheduled to premiere in 2026 according to documented reporting on the production, is set to return Kelly Clarkson to the coaching panel alongside John Legend and Adam Levine in a new format, according to documented announcements about the season structure. Blake Shelton is not part of the announced coaching lineup for that season, having made his departure from the show after season 23, his formal conclusion of that chapter. His continued public expressions of desire to collaborate with Kelly, documented in the May 2025 television appearance, suggest that the friendship will continue generating professional contact, even without the regular structure of The Voice set to organize it. What Blake Shelton has finally admitted about Kelly Clarkson across 15 years of documented public statements assembled from interviews, television appearances, reported insider accounts, and the behavior visible in moments like choosing her friendship over professional neutrality during her divorce is something that the word admitted does not quite capture. He has not been hiding it. He has been saying it consistently in the various ways that genuine friendship expresses itself in public, through showing up, through saying something nice when it would be easier to say nothing, through terminating a professional relationship that competing loyalties might have suggested he protect, through appearing on her television show 2 years after leaving their shared professional context to tell her that her record is his #1 musical goal. The friendship between Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson is not a story about what he finally admitted. It is a story about what he has been demonstrating consistently for 15 years, which is that some friendships are worth more than the professional calculations that surround them, and that the people worth keeping in your life are the ones you choose to keep there even when the structure that originally connected you has changed.